drifts away like the dew in the morning as the night it fades away. As the night it fades away. Dance with me under the moon. Dance with me under the moon.
Hey, folks. All right. Uh-oh. 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 Hello, Discord.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
How's everybody?
Breathe.
Breathing.
Breathing. Breathing.
Breathing's good.
Somebody says somewhere breathing is a prerequisite for life, but you know, sometimes the shape I'm in and as old as I get, I wonder if they're not lying to me. All right, well, first off, Open Pagan Church. We're here live, relatively, sort of, kind of, for the most part, a family channel. But, there you go.
Hey, Sabrina, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Good.
Well, hope everybody's staying safe out there. Kind of crazy times. Looks like society's lost their mind again. Still, some more. Uh-oh.
Did society ever have a mind?
Well, you know, there is that, but you never really know. I think it depends on who's following whom at the moment.
Oh my goodness, Dawn.
I just
That-
noticed
that-
I didn't change the title.
Background?
Background.
Nope.
Background. What? Background.
Make your hair stand up like, oh my god, he's bald almost, and it looks like Gandalf.
He's a floating head because I don't see no body.
My body's right there. I can see it. I have a black shirt on.
Yep, I see it.
But I mean, you blend into the background so you don't see it.
Ah, right. You know, the floating head there. Well, seeing as how I obviously forgot to change the title, I just changed the title. Last week we talked in Live with the Shaman. We talked about how to find your shaman path, if you will, the different paths within shamanism. Well, this week we're going to kind of talk about how did you find your path in your religion. This ought to be fun.
I'm about to do it.
And of course, Jayme's sleeping in late this morning. This was her topic, so we'll just kind of go on with it. We have young people, old people that spend every day of their lives trying to figure out spiritually who they are, what their path is, and I don't necessarily actually, mean what is your religion, as in are you Christian or pagan or Jewish or, whatever. What I actually mean is, how did you find what denomination of whatever religion that you are? Do you even have a denomination that you follow?
Like the shamanism?
Right. Like many of us are pagan. Some are not. Lester, Sandy, we love you. But and I'd like to hear from Lester as well. How how did you find what your path was within your chosen religion? Anybody?
That's easy. My path, my religion is Catholic. I was born into Catholic, but my path is not considered Christian in any form, fashion, or sense. Uh, I guess you'd call me an earth witch. I don't know, druid. I don't know what you'd call me. Hell,
I always
I'm
thought you.
mean.
I always thought you was a green witch
A
because
green witch, earth
or
witch,
earth witch, yeah.
but that was instilled into me by my grandfather and my father, both of which were Catholic. Now, my father was uh, a Cajun traiteur, a faith healer, but he didn't pass that. Well, he kind of sort of passed the gift off to me, but he didn't pass the knowledge off to me because I was a male child. I wasn't a female child.
Uh,
That tradition you can only pass off to the opposite sex.
ah,
I'd never heard that one before. That's kind of interesting.
Oh yeah, the the traiteurs, the Cajun traiteurs were. We call them. It's basically faith healer. It's witch doctor. Whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
A shaman. It would be a shaman. They do things like if a person is sick and in pain, they'll put a knife between the sheets, the mattresses, and say a prayer for it to cut the pain in half.
Got it.
They do the laying of hands. They treat for migraines and stuff like that. It's a faith based medical practice.
Right.
Put it that way.
Right. Wasn't that also associated with Santeria, also pronounced Santera?
Yeah, kind of, sort of.
Kind of a
Without the voodoo influence.
yeah. It kind of, some people considered it the Catholic voodoo, if you will.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, people. Well, Santeria is considered the Catholic voodoo. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
but the Traiteurs didn't. They didn't practice that form of worship. They believed in Jesus Christ and the power of God through the power of prayer. But there were times when, Dad had some insight that didn't, came out of nowhere.
Right.
Kind of freaked you out every once in a while. It's like, whoa, where'd that come from? So, I guess that's the reason I'm the way I am. I don't really, I call myself a Catholic, and I was born a Catholic, baptized a Catholic, and I'm going to die a Catholic.
Right.
I don't actually go to the Catholic Church. I'm an absentee Catholic. I used to call myself a recovering Catholic, but I don't know if y'all can hear this or not. Can you hear the creek running?
I can't.
a little bit.
A little bit.
Little.
I'm standing on the bridge over the top of the creek.
All right. Don't drop your phone.
It's not running as fast as it was before.
Right.
We haven't had rain in a couple of days.
So you would come at it more from a family bloodline type philosophy then, right?
Yeah, kind of like the witches claim to be descendants from witches. It's a blood.
It's just like ours. My dad wouldn't. Great grandma O'Neill. No. She was a Snyder or something like that. Anyway, she had the teachings and everything. She wouldn't teach Daddy because he was a male. So the next one down got it, which was my aunt. I found out.
Interesting. So, Cindy, what led you to your religious philosophy, if you will, your religious denomination, and your path of religion, if you will?
Okay. Got a recent divorce that year. I found out about the spiritual part of being pagan, which I tried the witch side of it. No. Especially when it was tradition of Gardnerian, I couldn't handle the strictness and some of the naming of the gods at that time. So I met the shaman part and learned some of it, and it felt like, you found something. So read into it more, being able to understand the shamanism better, even if it's not that was shamanism in general. There's so many shaman paths that there's Celts, there's I'm
Native
like
American.
Native American, Siberian.
Right.
The Siberian is very interesting. Lately, I've been going back to it and looking at it more. But generalized shamanism makes me. It's like a feeling that you belong there,
Right.
and it's just the philosophies of the shamanism is. It's more focused what I need or what was in my spiritual path and my religion path.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head when you said it kind of made you feel like you belong.
Yeah.
I mean, so many people are just trying to find a place to belong. You know, it's like it's like I was raised this, I was taught to believe that, and that never really did make a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, we were raised Methodist, but Mom never focused on Methodist because she taught me the Catholic stuff. I mean, all the Hail Marys and all that, and boy, when Mama got mad at me in private, she would come in and tell the girls, "You need to say this" so many times. Didn't do it to the boys. It was kind of
Trying to save
fascinating.
your soul, honey.
It's kind of fascinating, you know. She taught me the Hail Marys and all the reeds and all the saints and everything. And it's like, okay.
We grew up with that. And, you know, it's funny because even now I can still sit down and say the rosary.
Oh my
And
God.
I do it in a meditative sense. The words itself don't really mean anything to me anymore, but it's
Now,
the
what
idea of the repetition sets your mind at ease.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
So what Catholic are you? I know there's different Catholics.
Huh?
There's
There's only
different-
one Catholic, baby.
There's Roman, there's Orthodox, there's
Oh, yeah.
It's Roman Catholic. Orthodox is Greek Catholic.
okay.
Then there's the Egyptian Catholics. They're called the Coptics.
Oh Lord.
They're about as close to Islamic as you can get.
Mhm.
And then you have your Jewish faith.
Right.
The Jews. There is a sect of Jews that are considered Christian Jews.
Say what?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, how do you do that when the Jewish don't believe that Jesus walked the earth?
Because if you remember, Jesus Christ was a Jew,
He was, yes.
and his followers were all Jews.
Right.
So there was a branch of Christianity at the beginning that broke off from the Christian version because when the disciples spread out and started preaching to the Gentiles, everybody who was not Jew, they felt like it was a insult to them, so they created their own sect. I forgot what they're called, but
Hebrew Catholics.
well, they don't use that term, but they
No.
it's a certain kind of Christian. And for the life of me, I can't remember the term. I'm not home with my research library, so I couldn't find it for you. But
By definition, I'd call it confused.
no, not really. I mean, I understood the point. They thought that, because they believed that Jesus Christ was the Messiah, that it should be for the Jewish faith only.
Okay.
They did not understand his teaching to the Gentiles, and because they were under Roman law, so they hated the Gentiles.
Right. Once Roman flipped the ship, anyway.
Right. I
So
don't know if they survive to this day as a religious order, but you look at the Catholic order, you have your Franciscans, you have your Dominicans, you have several different orders in the Catholic faith.
right.
Then you have the Opus Dei, which is, I want to talk about nuts. Those people are nuts.
Yeah.
I can say that, I'm Catholic.
Right.
Those people are nuts.
Yes. Yes. And well, all right. So how about some of the other guys in Discord? How were you led to your religious path? Anybody?
With me, I really didn't have a path to start with. I kind of tried everything. Christian, Protestant, Methodist, different ones. Nothing ever, like you said, felt right. And finally, the hurricanes led me to where I'm supposed to be going.
Hurricanes will do that. Hurricanes will rock your world.
Especially when they're named after girls.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to go there. So, what do
I
you?
have a joke later.
Hey, we like jokes. Come on, bring it.
Well, this is a family channel, and I'm not gonna.
Oh,
Kind of a dirty joke.
We'll do it at Shaman later.
yeah. You can bring it over to live with the shaman.
Yeah.
We'll get a
Yeah,
kick out
just
of it.
remind me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, by the way, anybody that's listening, our conversation on live with the shaman later, we're kind of being an open topic, right? And I'm going to almost stir a little crap as in the state of society at the moment. So that ought to lead to an interesting conversation. But anyway, I digress. Sabrina, what led you to where you are? I understand you've got an interesting past, if you will.
Yeah, and speaking of my past, my father says hello.
Hello.
um, I was adopted, so I don't really have too much information about what my mother was. But my mom, my adoptive mom, was a non denominational Christian. And my dad, not my father, but my dad was an atheist. So I was kind of confused growing up. Well, when I hit about 12 years old, I came into what they would call your power. Um, I started at the age of 12, and I began to just study pretty much anything I could get my hands on, and three paths actually lit up for me, if you want to say it that way. Um, well, it's technically two. It's the Greco-Roman and the Egyptian paths. I'm a sun follower. My patron deity actually came to me in a dream, and that's Apollo. He came to me in a dream, and in the middle of the night, I woke up with a sunburn, and I hadn't been outside. So
That's
I
interesting.
started, yeah. When your deity comes to you and says, "Look, you need to become this," you kind of follow and try to become the best that you can. Um, so I've been following Apollo, and I started researching into the Egyptians, and the Egyptian equivalent is Ra, I think.
Amun
Um,
Ra.
yeah.
Yep.
So I mean, it's been stuck in my head since I was 12, and I've been practicing, and I've been going to circles. I've been doing drum circles. I've done a lot of things that come along with, you know, being pagan.
Well, you said something that was rather interesting. Um, and we've talked about it before, but people that uh, may be watching our pre-recorded broadcast a little later on, they may hear the term periodically. Came into my power. It generally, typically, is known for girls to come in during or about the time of their first menstrual period, if you will, and as they go through that menstrual cycle up to the age of 16, the age of 16 is generally their uh, coming coming of age, if you will. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where the Catholics got the quinceanera, is a young girl coming in to her power. Right, Lester? Am I saying that right?
The
Yeah.
quinceanera is actually her 15th birthday. She
Ah,
actually
15.
becomes, what it is it's a ritual that the the Catholics do for their girls when they turn 15. Um, After they turn 15 and they do their quinceanera, they are then considered a woman and can get married and start having families.
I like the
But that's
way.
only that's only in the Mexican Catholicism.
Ah, you're right.
They
Yeah.
don't do that. They don't
Right.
do that in the
Well,
American
the
Catholicism.
it's not just Mexican Catholicism; it's also Spanish Catholicism because
Yeah.
they do it
And
over in Spain as well.
Yeah.
I was looking for the term, but I couldn't come out. It's the Espanol. The whole thing, the Espanol.
Right, right. But I think kind of my whole point to it was that almost every religion throughout the world, if you look back in time, um, boys typically tend to, quote, come into their power when they go through puberty. And we all know that women tend to mature earlier than boys do. And that's medically speaking and philosophically speaking, having seen it myself. Um, but the coming of age, the coming of power, has, since history can be documented, has been called the coming of age or the coming into your power. And it's where you go from there, the things I've noticed, that either set you on a path of enlightenment or set you on a path of completely screwed up. What do y'all think?
Yeah, you pretty much right about that.
Because I
Take
mean,
today's society.
yeah, yeah. Well, you think about it. Young girls and young boys alike in what Judeo mainstream modern society, with the taboos of any sexual connotation or any independent connotation whatsoever, freedom of thought, if you will, is squashed and controlled, thereby really actually screws up the mind of a lot of young people.
Yep.
And I know that several times back in the old circle, we all sit around and we would talk about the different times of the different societies that just really actually screwed up young people. And it's sad to say, but here in 2020, it's not a whole lot different. I mean, there are still societies out there that are just absolutely screwing up kids' heads.
Take
Yeah.
the Amish, for example, pseudo Christian religion, and when their boys reach a certain age, they send them away for I think it's a year, maybe 2 years, for them to go out and experience what life in the outside is, and then they can choose to go back to the Amish or they become what they call outlanders.
Right, right. And the girls, they don't give that choice.
I don't think so. I've never actually heard of the girls doing it, but they might. I don't know. The Amish have become very progressive as of late.
Yeah, over the last 20 or 30 years, they have, really.
So they might be doing it for the girls too. I don't know for certain, so I'm not gonna quote it.
Right, right.
But I know that the boys get pushed out of the family group and are sent off like to the big city for them to experience what life on the outside with the outlanders is like.
Right, right.
And they make their conscientious choice whether to stay an outlander or to go back to their homes and their families, because as soon as they go back they get married.
Well, yeah, there's not a
And
whole lot of choice in it.
right, they start their families, they purchase land or they're given land, they start farming.
Well, doesn't that actually doesn't that actually give credence to the topic, though? Why did you choose your path? So much of the time, people just follow what they're taught.
Right.
And a lot of times we have people come to us that are so screwed up, they don't know if the screw turns right or left, in that they tend to bring a lot of Christian philosophies and try to bring it into the pagan ideas. And 99.9% of the time, it doesn't work for very long. You know, the freedom and the understanding and expressionism of pagan philosophy, we don't have taboos, if you will, as far as a religion goes. I mean, each path or each denomination, if you will, of paganism has their own set of morals, and the individuals generally within other clans or paths or whatever you want to call them typically tend to not try to enforce those morals on people of other paths. If we don't agree with it, if we don't agree with what you're doing, we typically just say, hey, that's your world, you deal with it, and we just bugger off down the road and find something else to get into.
Speaking
Hey,
of getting into other things, I gotta go. I'm kind of chilling with my man, so uh, I'll talk to y'all
well, happy chilling.
Get
later.
away, baby. Get
I'll
away.
talk to y'all later.
All right. But, in short, I think it all comes down to people of today. And it's not just today, it's been going on for hundreds of years, but more recently, over the last 20 years, people are sick and tired of the fundamentalistic thumb on head, you will do this, you will do that mentality. What do y'all think?
Well, I believe that statement.
Yeah, I do too.
Yep.
You know,
Boy, kids are so rebellious these days.
well, Not these days. Shit, dude. Think about when you and I were growing up. We were,
But yeah, we were rebellious too. But
well, we were rebellious as hell, if I remember correctly, in our 30s.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was some crazy times in our 30s.
yep,
Believe it
sure
or not,
was.
I can remember back that far.
I try to not. I try not to. I did some stupid shit in my 30s.
Join the club.
Yeah, me too. Suspended from high school the last year of senior year for a quarter.
I Hell, I remember right before I opened my computer store in '94. I think that was when Lester coined the phrase for me, "whore dog."
Yep.
His employees coined the phrase for me, Captain Caveman.
Yep.
So I was Captain Caveman, the whore dog.
That's the reason why I have Captain Caveman as my uh, avatar. Oh my days.
Well, Captain Caveman has kind of slowed down in his older years, I have to say.
What's up with that?
I think that's probably a good thing if you think about it.
You talk about being in the 30s. Remember how I was in the 30s? I'm never gonna get married. I'm never gonna get married. I'm gonna get married.
I remember that.
39. Guess who? Guess what I did? I went and I married the worst thing that I ever did.
I ain't gonna say nothing to that.
Took me 10 years to get rid of that ball and chain.
I think
Turn around and I did it again.
I think you got a good one this time, though, bruh.
Yeah, I got a good one this time.
I mean, I haven't even met her per se, and she seems like a good woman.
Yeah, she is. She's sweet, down to earth. You know, yeah, she's. I don't know if you want to call her Christian or not. She's Christian based, but she
Yeah.
doesn't. We're not really into practicing. She was raised in the Church of Christ, but she turned Baptist, and now she's really nothing to tell you the truth. Uh,
Well, I mean, doesn't it come down to coin the phrase a spiritualist? I mean, you've got Christian spiritualists and you've got pagan spiritualists. Pagans who really don't have a path per se. They just follow the pagan polytheistic philosophy, and then you've got your Christian spiritualists, which follow the Christian poly monotheistic philosophy. Shit, I can't think today.
well, it's funny because when we first moved back to Louisiana and I got hurt and we moved into the little house, the new priest of the Catholic Church came by my house and was looking for the lady that used to live in the house, who was coming to bring her, goodwill, and because she was disabled. So I told him, I said, well, she doesn't live here anymore. I said, you go see the new priest of the Catholic church. He's like, yes, my name is Father Alexis. Well, we got to talking, and he comes out, he says, well, are you Catholic? I said, well,
Well,
I'm a last Catholic. I was born Catholic, I was baptized Catholic, I was raised Catholic, but I don't go to the church. He's like, well, you do know you're committing a sin, you're going to go to hell for it. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, really? My father, who was a Catholic, never went to church. We would go sit at a bar while mom and the rest of the kids would go to the church. We'd
right,
sit at a bar and wait for them to get out.
right. But
And of course, when I turned, 6 years old, then I was able to make my first communion, and I started going to church too, but Dad still didn't go to church. Sundays was barbecue day.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, coonskin cap and all that type.
Hey, Clint,
Yo,
do you remember any of our childhood going to church with Mom?
uh, yeah, a couple of times, but other than that, no, we didn't go on a regular basis. I think we went maybe 2 or 3 times
Yeah.
when we were growing up, maybe.
Yeah, I went for the big Sabbaths like Christmas and yeah, Easter and
Whoa, she's with us, Jimmy,
Who's she?
the Wicker Man. Yeah, I can't remember her first name. Are you
Jayme.
there, Jamie?
I'm here.
Yay!
Bless her
Jane
heart.
Movement.
She's coming in on the downside. We done had all the fun.
Yeah, I'm just leaving my granddaughter's house to drive home.
Ah. Well, you know,
It's been an emotional weekend.
oh,
They have informed me that they are moving to Michigan.
Oh,
so how far will that be away from you?
So it goes from a 3-hour drive to a 7-hour drive.
Wow.
ouch.
Wow. Okay. So, Jamie, are you in a position to discuss why you chose your particular religion and path?
I could try. I really wish it was the on button, this microphone on my phone. I got into my path kind of by accident. I've always been a person that, from the time I was old enough to remember, studied Native American beliefs and culture and religion and whatever. And then when I got divorced, or was in the process of confession because, well, my marriage was ending, so I needed absolution. And I went in with a black eye, and the guy told me that it was probably my fault. I kind of lost all respect, whatever was left, for that religion, or any kind of a God that could look at that and say that that was any part of my fault. And so I started to kind of study, and as I studied, I realized that most world religions were based somehow on Celtic something.
Were you sneezing, Don?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. No, I was blowing my nose, sorry.
And so when I started to research, well, if Wicca came from Celtic religion and Catholicism came from Celtic mythology and religion, then what is so wonderful about this Celtic thing if every other world religion wants to borrow its tenets and its whatever? And so then I decided, okay, well, I was going to go to this really cool circle that was like the first one I'd ever been to in South Dakota. And it was about as fluffy bunny stupid as it gets. They had some kind of people standing around with knives doing all sorts of weird things in a circle, and then they served electric blue Kool-Aid and stale blueberry muffins as part of their ritual. And I kind of went, I don't think this is like what I'm looking for. And at this function, there was this couple, an older couple, who seemed to know what the hell they were talking about. And he was fun to listen to because he had a big mouth and he would say just about anything. And thus I met Walt and Sissy.
And from there, I started to hang out with Walt and Sissy, and I continued to research until ultimately I went past them. And I met Don, and I met Lori, and I met a few other people, and I kind of took their wisdom and kept studying. So finally, I came across the fact that I resonated with the idea of being a druid, but I refused because of honor and because of integrity. I refused to call myself a druid until I'd actually been studying for 20 years, because it was about the only thing I could find that gave me any kind of guidance on what the ancient druids were about. At the time, it was all about, well, I read a Cunningham book, so I'm a priestess, right? And I couldn't hang with the idea of calling myself something if I didn't even know what the hell that was. So I continued to study and probably put myself through a self-guided master's tournament or degree in college, and just kind of got to where it was really comfortable for me.
But isn't that the whole point of, like we were talking about earlier, it's the thing that makes you feel comfortable. It's the thing that gives you a sense of belonging. You know,
it became a thing for me that I didn't have to, it wasn't a performance art, it wasn't about show, it wasn't about any of those external kind of, hey, look at me, I'm special. I'm wearing a pentacle, did anybody notice? Oh, cool, look at me, I'm special.
right, right.
I just really got past all of that, and when it became part of my everyday breathing, then it felt right.
Therein lies the whole point. When it feels like you, and it feels like who you have always been, irregardless at the end of the day whether or not anyone else really actually agrees with you, then it feels like it's a part of who you are. The base core philosophy of paganism led me to a freedom and a comfortableness of self that I was okay living with. To me, that was trying to live the life of the Baptist choir leader in a small town called Liberty, and the deacon of a church, the deacon of the same church. They wanted me to be a deacon because I was outspoken and open-minded.
Not you.
Right. When it's right for you and it leads you to an idea of something that's right for you, whether it's Christian, Jewish, pagan, whatever, talking about the core religion that you're following, it comes down to what's right for you. And at the end of the day, it doesn't make any difference whether or not I agree with it, or who we got, Debbie, Jayme, Clint, Lester, Cindy, whoever, anybody else that may be watching in the shadows. It doesn't make any difference whether or not any of us may agree with it.
The really cool part, I think, is when you reach a place of that calmness within yourself. It's like the book that's been rolling in my head for about the last 20 years about, I'm done through I don't have to, I can be part of a conversation now with people without necessarily having to prove them wrong or correct them or whatever. I don't need to make myself right or in order to somehow make them wrong. I don't need to have those kind of arguments and conversations anymore because I'm perfectly content with where I am.
And that's what it's all about. Okay? The Because I have found myself over the last 10 years or so with that kind of same understanding is I don't need to have an argument or a debate with you about whether or not I'm right or wrong. It doesn't matter. Now, granted, if I decide to go on some psychopath killing spree, I hope somebody takes my feet out from under me and says, dude, you really need some help. And if I decide just to go out and start casting willy-nilly on people just because they pulled in front of me in a traffic jam, I would hope that, one of my friends somewhere along the line would smack me over the head with a 2x4 before counsel does and say, dude, have you lost your mind?
I think I've done that a couple of times.
You have, yes, over the last, 30 years. But when it comes down to it, and I'm the one that looks at myself in the mirror, and you're the one that looks at yourself in the mirror, I'm not always happy being shaman. I'm not always happy with some of the responsibilities that comes with shamanism. I'm not even always happy with some of the jobs that counsel and spirit guide give me to perform.
Well, and in that truly becomes part of what we've talked about for the last 20 years too, which is that I don't necessarily ever like the instructions that I'm given, but I took an oath to my gods and to my faith that I would do what I was asked to do, and most of the time I don't like what I'm being asked to do, and if I could avoid it, I'd hide under a rock.
Right. But we do what we do because it's who we are.
Exactly.
Right. But the whole thing of and I want to kind of start winding down with this because we're reaching the end of our hour. I think personally, when you're looking for your religious path, I'm not necessarily talking about Catholic, Baptist, or I'm not talking about Wicca, witch, druid, shaman, fae. I'm talking about, am I pagan? Am I a Christian philosophist? Am I Jewish? Am I agnostic? That's an interesting one all to and of itself. Am I atheist? Do I just simply believe in nothing? I think that,
I can't see an atheist believing in nothing. There's just, it doesn't comprehend me.
well,
But they believe in themselves, and that's the highest form of where they are.
right.
Okay.
There's no being higher than the self. When you die, you're rot, you're done, you're gone, that's it.
Ugh.
Full stop. Okay? There's no master plan, there's no actual even form of cause and effect depending on the atheist that you talk to. And the interesting part is how much I've learned over the last 8 or plus so years working and intermingling with several atheist individuals, and to take their side and maybe to elaborate a little bit. I understand where they're coming from. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's not for me, and it's not my lifestyle, it's not my thing. But I get it. I understand the atheistic philosophy because they're sick and tired of the religious rhetoric. But one of the things that I do want to say for those people, not just the young people, but for the older people that are trying to figure out what they are as a core. Am I atheist? Am I Christian? Am I pagan? Am I Jewish? Whatever. You have to go for what's right for you. You're not going to erase your past, okay? A lot of people come in and they say, I want to erase my past. I want to forget who I was. Not going to happen,
That's
folks.
a huge mistake, right? And that's a huge mistake to start with.
Oh, it is. You need to embrace who you were, because who you were, how you were raised, how you were brought up, the environmental programming that was done for you as you were growing up, and as you are growing up, it's going to have an impact on who you are spiritually. So at the end of the day, you've got to make that decision. Where am I going? How am I going to get there? What path am I going to take to get there? Religiously speaking, of course. So when you're out there and your day's crazed and confused and wondering who the hell you are and where the hell you're going, I recommend that you hang with those people that make you comfortable. You research the things that don't necessarily make you comfortable, because an educated mind gives you a possibility of making philosophical decisions, and decisions that may end up actually being right for you. So, wow, with that, really good topic today, folks. I want to thank everybody for being here. Jayme, thank you for the topic. Anybody wants to send me some more topics? We're about the end of our topics, and I'm like writer's block here. Really don't have a whole lot. Send me some topics. But I do, on closing, I do say this: be safe out there. We're in 2020, and 2020 has brought us some rather trying times, if you will, of trying to stay safe. Do what's right for you and take care of you and your family. And when it comes to your religion, be who you are. It's not my place or anybody else's place to tell you you're wrong. If you want to reach out, we're here. If you want to reach out to our group, House of Pagans, or even us here on Open Pagan Church, we're happy to listen. If you want to join us here on Discord, the never expiring link is in the chat there, up in the description.
I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'll be right back.
All right. So.
Wait. Hey, Sean.
Yep.
How's it going?
Sean says, I am my path. Well, we're on the downside, folks. I want to thank you guys for watching. Love you all. Travel safe. And we'll see you next time here on Open Pagan Church. Have a great day.